everybody, to the Amazon EU Masters. My name is Munchables. I'm joined by Jamada, and Fnatic Rising have stepped it up. We come into game number one. Everyone's expecting Misfits Premier to be the heavy favorite coming from the LFL, looking to meet K-Cup in the finals. But Fnatic, they come in, and as Trouble said on the desk, they just say no.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I sort of look towards the draft and I say they played a style which, you know, they obviously very clearly felt comfortable with. And not only that, they just played around Misfits composition so well when it came to the mid game. They knew the assignment. Don't fall behind too heavily in the early game. Then once Misfits went at a great lead and you hit those iron spikes, you get to play around your carry so well.
It feels like D-Lord has given him checkboxes to tick, right? Like, make sure you survive in the early game, play safely around objectives later on. They're just like ticking the boxes throughout the game. And we have to talk about D-Lord, right? Yeah. The coach from Fnatic stepping up, because this is not his first EU Masters. This ain't his first rodeo. He was in the finals of the very first EU Masters, which obviously Origin won in the end. But guess what? That was when he was back as a player. His AD carry at the time was Woolite. So now up against his old comrade as a coach. And it feels like so much of the win condition, so much of the strength of Fnatic has been in these drafts across the course of the tournament. And so much of that is thanks to D-Lord. Yeah,
exactly. And when you think about, you know, especially sort of the experience difference between Bean and Woolite as well, having someone as experienced as D-Lord, who is a support player for one, and then also someone who's going to be able to have, you know, the information to tell you about how Woolite, even if, yes, the information might be old, you know, give you this kind of insight into how Woolite might want to do certain things and how he'll want to play in these sort of windows where you can punish. It's such a big advantage for Fnatic Rising in that sense, when Misfits lean on Woolite so consistently.
So let's get into draft here, Jamada. We've got Fnatic on the blue side this time around. We're swapping it up as Misfits have opted into that red side. Straight off the bat, Fnatic banning the Xin Zhao. This time Misfits are like, all right, Dale.
Yeah, all right, we've seen it.
Well played. You did a good job. We're getting rid of that.
Yeah, we just don't want to deal with it if we're Misfits, so we're moving away that global.
Never again.
For now, never again. Let's see, with Fnatic Rising on blue side, there's less inclination to actually have to ban the Lee Sin. So maybe a different ban comes out here. Maybe they, you know, slot it out for probably LeBlanc, maybe Ryze as well. Maybe you leave both open, you let Misfits take the LeBlanc yourself, and then you, as your pick up the Ryze, and then you still got that global to work with from the mid lane. For now, though, Gangplank still going to hit the ban bench. They don't want to let Pride onto that one, I think rightfully so.
Look, you can understand it, right? We saw what happened in game number one. The entire game plan for Misfits was destroy Pride, just dive him over and over again. Gangplank is the perfect pick for dealing with that pressure, and we've seen that from him across the course of this tournament. But as you said before, for Fnatic here, in game number one, they banned away Lee Sin. Not really necessary, because I think either team is more than happy to first pick the Lee Sin, and instead, they take away the Camille from Agresivoo.
Yeah, all right. So let's see how that shapes up the draft for Fnatic Rising then, because off the get-go you think, all right, well then Lee Sin or Viego, if you're picking between the two with Shlatan in the game, it would normally be Lee, but Lee Sin's now been banned away from Misfits Premier, so a bit of adaptation there. So it would make me believe that Fnatic Rising would have to lean onto the Viego, but after seeing such a strong Nidalee performance, maybe they're not too fussed about it and they go on to something perhaps like Varus, beat me to the hover.
The Varus.
And you just
something
still
the Bean's land on, right? This
exactly.
Fnatic have consistently gone back to.
Yeah, you just play through the strong side of Bean. You immediately have, you know, what can be an agency lane if you want to play towards it. That sort of mid-game spike of the two items of all that poke, and we saw how much effectiveness he, you know, had off the back of these Rhuckz engages on the rel. The follow-up of immediately just having the Chains of Corruption on a target that's being CC'd by the rel, it just becomes too overbearing and you don't get to move or play the game. There's the Ryze's highlight as when we were talking about the bans. It is going to come through for Misfits Premier, and now I wonder what exactly will Fnatic Rising want to take into it. My immediate guess will be the Silas, which has been something that Dajor has played and looked pretty damn good on, if you ask me. And of course you get to steal the Realm Walk, so you get that global in that sense. Misfits, though, still looking probably towards the Viego with this Ryze. I wouldn't expect anything too different away from that lock-in.
Yeah, the jungle pick certainly a solid choice to go for at this point, and the Viego, it is going to be the answer. I don't think anyone's particularly surprised by that one, and Shlatan had a great Viego performance as well in the previous game. And now the Kennen. Now, you and I talked about Kennen off stage. We never mentioned it. Irelia result, instant lock-ins here from Fnatic Rising. What? Jamada, explain.
All right. So I think this is actually quite smart from Fnatic Rising, because they lock in the Kennen for one. Okay. And then with that, they lock in the Irelia, which is something that Agresivoo plays, which actually has a pretty fine time in to the Kennen at the same time. So they actually snap away a counter pick into the Kennen in the same rotation. And even, you know, the Jayce can struggle, you know, occasionally into the Kennen, depending on how the, you know, the laners actually play it. Whilst traditionally seen as a sort of Jayce-sided matchup, Kennen can still definitely take over that lane. Fnatic Rising now do have to worry about their jungle pool being pinched, but I feel like MAXI must be happy and willing to have that pinched in a situation like this. If you're just allowing to take 2 solo lanes like this, it does change the dynamic, however, with the Fnatic composition. We'll get onto that in a moment once they start to round out their draft.
So the Thresh going to be banned away. I mean, you're talking about jungle bans as well, right? We've got the Diana already banned away.
Has to be followed up.
Maybe you have to ban the Nidalee at this point. I don't know whether these picks are necessarily Nidalee bannable. We'll have to wait and see. But then there's still things like the Olaf, right? There's still plenty of other picks available. Things like the Trundle as well that MAXI could go towards. Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, you can take MAXI off comfort rather, by banning away the Nidalee, of course. It doesn't really fit with the composition of Fnatic though, per se. That does, however, the job, and so a much more heads-up ban from Misfits Premier there. And now for Fnatic Rising, I guess you just remove away another engage tool that you feel like potentially you could even hit on Woolite's champion pool instead.
Not quite an engage tool, but
there you go.
You know, it is a champion, so
it's a champion, yeah. At least some kind of connection. So Woolite now not gonna have the safety of an Ezreal, but looks like you'll have the safety of a Tristan or Rocket Jump instead. I don't see that one not being locked in here. And you give Jactroll the R5 the opportunity to counterpick whatever support does get locked in for Rhuckz. And it means that, you know, going for that rel again might not necessarily be the most safe pick when you can get countered by something like, you know, perhaps the Leona or the Alistar, as it's going to be an Ashe lock-in to try and match some of that range, and it gives you at least that sort of non-committal Ashe arrow engage too.
Yeah, it gives you that go button, right? The ability to pull the trigger. Now, Woolite has played the Ashe one time across the course of EU Masters main event here. 100% win rate across that one game.
Okay.
But also 12 KDA. We are going to see the Nidalee come through from MAXI once again. This feels like quite an AP-heavy composition, but with a Leona there as well, you have the lockdown. Feels like there's plenty of CC for Fnatic to work.
Yeah, you know, you've got Leona, you've got Chains of Corruption, you've got everything that Kennen basically does outside of damage. You're looking pretty comfortable here, and Misfits seems like covering the Alistar, just going to go for the sort of lane counter, and of course disengage works really well into the Kennen, being able to headbutt Pride out of team fights consistently. If he approaches from a front angle, can be a very, very strong tool to dissuade those slicing Maelstrom engages. Misfits Premier this time around a little more on the lane dominant side, right? You've got this Ryze, which should be able to take priority in the first couple of waves. You've got the Jayce, which, you know, traditionally should be a strong lane. Obviously, Pride didn't get to pilot it 1-to-1, let's just say, for a very long time, so you didn't get to see that flexibility. And on the bottom side, you know, a positive matchup where Ashe should be able to get the priority there against the Varus in the early stages, and then obviously Alistar can counter engage on the Leona. So I think Misfits Premier have actually set themselves up very well for a strong early game.
And that's so crucial, right? We've seen so often that they win through having that dominant early game and then snowballing through the game. And one of the huge points of focus when it comes to how they snowball the game is Jactroll in this support role. I feel like Jactroll, one of these veteran players, right, that's been playing literally for years and years and years. He was in the LCS, back when it was EU LCS in 2015 on Rocket, and Alistar is his most played champion ever, over a 70% win rate over almost 40 games. So really fantastic pick for him, but also it allows this roam-heavy style that we often see from Misfits, where they're looking to get man advantages around the map.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see how they're gonna pilot it, because like we said, a lot of individual agency inside of these lanes. Of course, Shlatan and Jactroll love to pair up too. Very strong dueling combination, so much CC between a Viego and an Alistar. If you get clipped by any part of CC, chances are you're just gonna die, even at those early stages, level 3, level 4. So Fnatic Rising members in the early game are going to have to be very, very careful about checking things like fog, etc. I do think still a lot of power in some of these lanes. Of course, Varus can't be understated in his early laning prowess, and Irelia, I think everybody knows how strong that champion can be inside of minion waves.
Yeah, Irelia's all right.
Yeah.
She's reasonably strong, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
She's done a number on me a few times, let me tell you that. Now, I do want to quickly mention something about Misfits here, because we're coming into game number 2. We're in the semi-finals of EU Masters, and Misfits, as the LFL representative, I think every single EU Masters, we always talk about the LFL, right? It's classically been teams like LDLC, but Misfits Premier as well, a team that has won EU Masters on behalf of the LFL. But the thing is, we have this team that managed to defeat K-Corp in the LFL finals, and a lot of people believed that it was going to be K-Corp winning that finals. Misfits even lost the first game and then managed to win that series. They've lost the first game here in the semi-final, Jamada. This is by no means a Fnatic favored series just yet. They've still got a long way to go. We're best of 5 now this year. So feels like Fnatic's still going to have their work cut out. And as you said, this early game composition certainly suits the style of Misfits that we're used to. Yeah, and it's not like it's just, you know, strictly an early game composition too, because you've got the Ryze and you've got, of course, the Jayce, 2 tier champions that want to scale up as well. They just have, you know, very strong setup tools inside of their kit to allow the junglers to sort of approach the lane and know that they should have some kind of, you know, guaranteed lockdown or guaranteed large amounts of damage on either side. So it's very much on theme for how they want to play. But we spoke about the draft last time around in game 1, where Fnatic, of course, you know, they had the poke composition. It's a little different this time around. You know, they've got a little bit of mix of poke and then, you know, these snap engage tools. I'm going to be curious to see how they want to pilot it into Misfits Premier this time around. This is a very nice trade on the Jactroll. So nice. Really good autos in from Bean as well with the Hail of Blades there. That's going to be Ignite proc. They don't quite finish a kill, but Jactroll, you know, level 1 Alistar, you basically don't exist just yet, so
you're a health
the
bar.
wrath of that.
Yeah, you're a health bar. That's what you are when you're level 1 Alistar. MAXI looks like going to be popping back down towards that bottom side where it's Prio. Yeah, all in though.
It's going to be Dajor trying to get some damage down, but Sertuss able to return it. That's the nature of melee versus range, right? Big damage from the melee, but then on the way out of the place, Sertuss gets to just wail away on him once again.
Yeah, and definitely a bit of a different look from Dajor on the Irelia. Traditionally been on, you know, these sort of global mages, and sometimes the bruises like the Renekton or the Silas. Irelia, something that he seems very comfortable on, to be able to lock it into, you know, a player as prestige. As Sertuss on, you know, a pick that most would consider his pick.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that, like, bringing this different style is exciting, but also I can't say I'm massively surprised, right? Because we've seen him play things like the Renekton. We've seen him play this set. So, like, when it comes to melee, it doesn't surprise me that Irelia is also in this pool, because let's be honest, if you like melee mid laners and you existed in 2021, you probably played Irelia.
Yeah, exactly. I will say some of the disengage tools though that Misfits have in terms of, you know, just sort of rune prisoning, walking away, Alistar. I do worry for the Ore a little bit as team fights progress. We'll definitely have to be looking at some very strong flank angles perhaps. As Fnatic Rising so far not really been trying to send MAXI into any of these lanes. Very, very quiet on that front, and Shlatan as well, very comfortable for now, just kind of farming up.
Let's be honest though, it's not super surprising.
No,
like when you look at these comps on paper, and when you look at how you expect these two organizations to play, Fnatic played it slow in this early game. I can't say I'm too surprised. No. Let's talk game plan though for the side of Misfits, because you know we've talked about the fact that it doesn't have to be straight up early aggression, but they have those options. At what point does that happen? I'm going to hold that thought as Dale goes in once again in the mid lane. Conqueror procced already, 4 stacks ticking away. But he does not have that ignite. He's playing the TP, and it means no kill pressure there on Sertuss, but still a great all-in.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he could have actually made Sertuss blow his flash by flashing himself there, very dangerous. And now, Misfits going for the dive on the bottom side. They really want Bean. You're going to commit the teleport in.
Double TPs, one from either side here as Rhuckz tries to lock this Alistar underneath the tower. Shlatan forced away, the arrows come in. Oh no! Blood. Jactroll low as he's traded for Rhuckz, but it's 3 kills for Fnatic Rising. And Misfits, the dive just falls apart.
Not only does the dive fall apart, the one person that you want to miss the wave on the bottom side is still alive. Bean is still going to be there to collect that wave. After all of the carnage, the kills split evenly amongst all of the participants there for Fnatic Rising. The dive goes awry for Misfits Premier there. You understand the idea. The wave is stacked up massively. You have Shlatan there. Sertuss can teleport out from base, but it's just not quite there, the execution. I think 2 tunnel vision on Bean, but you kind of get it because trying to dive a Leona level 3 with all of the resistances of an aftershock and the W, it's just too much really to burst through with your champions, and too many tower shots taken by Shlatan. And then eventually he just goes down to Bean, and the rest of the members just attack tower, and it's just unfortunate. Everybody that needs to take a tower shot took a tower shot at the exact time they had to go down. Mrs. Premier fall to the wayside there, that dive. Fnatic Rising get just about everything they could have hoped for.
And The thing is, as well, you're watching the tower hitting away, right? And it hits Shlatan a couple of times, he flashes out, and then it hits Jactroll. Well, it's already stacked up by the time it's hitting Jactroll. And then Jactroll dies, it switches to Woolite, and it's just like God Ray laser beam just annihilates him in 2 hits. Like, well...
We had the team damage graph there. We need a tower shot damage graph.
Yeah, the 6th player for the side of Fnatic Rising on the dive. That is a disaster coming out from Misfits. And crucially as well, you know, they're not too far behind in gold just yet, but it's the tempo that they've lost off the back of trying to make that play. That is one of the bread and butter plays that we're used to seeing from this kind of squad as MAXI moves into the bottom side. Woolite does have his summoners available as Jactroll just trying to play peel, trying to play bodyguard for his AD carry. After shock on cooldown, flash forward from MAXI, it's answered by Woolite, but it's answered by Bean again. An answer for an answer for an answer, and it's Fnatic Rising finding more.
Yeah, and I mean, Woolite now has no flash, so another return gank could be very, very dangerous for Misfits to have to defend. Woolite likely would go down if multiple members come towards the bottom side from Fnatic Rising, and now it's even going to be transferred into this Mountain Dragon. So first Dragon should be in the back pocket here of Fnatic Rising, though we could see members come in from Misfits. I just don't think they'll have enough time to actually make an impact here. Winning out on the bottom side, the mid lane going well for Dajor as well. You know, he is down in some CS, made some ropes, going for the solo kill potentially.
All in onto Sertuss here, no flash available for the Ryze. The stacks are there, the robo can get him out. No, the auto doesn't go through. Sertuss, by the skin of his teeth, escapes.
But look at this, Dajor on the Irelia, pressuring Sertuss on his coveted champion. This is absolutely insane confidence coming out from the rookie here, Fnatic Rising. Now Sertuss, you know, under pressure, has to go back to base. This could buy some time, or could have if Fnatic Rising wanted to potentially, to keep the tempo high, maybe look for a Herald, but I just don't think the wave stays with there, particularly in the top side as well. I believe Jactroll just in fog, not willing to push that little bit further. But really great stuff coming out from Dajor here as Agresivoo looking for an all-in potentially. Could be turned around like an Maelstrom.
He didn't win it. The flash forward comes out from Pride and he's trying to get the damage down. But Agresivoo dodges the shuriken. That was about as close as it could have been.
I mean, in all fairness, Agresivoo in a situation like that should die, get punished. So very lucky to be walking out of his life, if you ask me. We'll see if that turns into anything else towards the top side. Both top laners, no flash now, as it's mid lane priority for Misfits Premier. The wave will get cleared out slowly. It looks like they really want to focus on this Herald. They don't want to give this one over to Fnatic Rising. They want to try and pick it up, trade some gold in. And it is very much that Misfits Premier style.
Not surprising either, right? Because we've seen Misfits Premier across the course of this tournament, 70% focus on that first Herald. They got it in game number 1 of this series as well. And it feels like this is the way that they set their early game up, right? We keep on talking about how this is a team that loves to snowball off of a gold lead in the early game. Well, the Herald is the best way to do that. Fnatic, much more focus on this Dragon across the course of the series so far. But Fnatic are the ones with the gold lead right now. And hey, if they don't commit to contesting this Herald, well, they can just take plates on the bottom side instead. This is what Herald is meant to get you.
Yeah, exactly. Now, could see a pretty big dive. No slicing Maelstrom or flash available for Pride. Let's see how he navigates it. This is a lot of damage to come out.
No flash, nothing to use here. The Heartbreaker comes on in, and it's going to be easy peasy for Misfits. Very clean dive from that.
Yeah, it's looking like Pride was trying to lock up Shlatan. Look at Agresivoo's health bar as well.
Maybe
no
maybe
fairness.
It wasn't as clean as I was saying, actually.
You know,
he
good effort.
Off screen, okay?
Yeah, good effort from Pride. You have to give it to him. And I mean, because of that, because of him being able to chunk out Agresivoo or make Agresivoo take so many tower shots, maybe the more apt description of the play, they're not actually going to drop the Herald down there. Yes, though, Pride does miss the wave. And the play, I believe, still did go over. So the Herald going to be saved for another day, another play.
See where Shelly ends up going later on. I mean, where would you like to see Shlatan take it? Because it looks like he's focusing on towards this bottom side, right? Which, you know, based on game number 1, that's not what I was really expecting from him. He's got a positive matchup in the top side, but maybe that attempted dive is going to put him off trying to focus on the top side of the map.
I mean, but you look at his pathing, right? He's got his Gromp, he's doing his Wolves now, all of his camps are up on the top side. It just spells to me that he wants to still drop it towards the top side. Okay. So we'll see. I think that the name of the game is still getting Agresivoo ahead. Of course, the scaling champion with the tier. You want to try and put them in as comfortable a position as possible. I think that dropping in the mid lane is a little bit risky because there's so much priority that's consistently come out of the bottom side from Fnatic Rising that if you try and make a play there, your bottom lane is not going to be the first to move. Yes, Woolite might be able to drop an arrow into the mid lane, and that can obviously sort of be a pseudo number in itself, but if it doesn't connect, you are working at a numbers disadvantage. There's no other way to describe it. So I think top side is just the safest way to actually get value out of it, just simply because you keep what is the strong side of Bean and Rhuckz as far away as from your play as possible.
Agresivoo now going for another trade onto Pride. It has to be said, across this top lane, Agresivoo has been the man, right? Game number 1, obviously had a lot of help from his jungler, but completely dominated in the laning phase. Game number 2 here, 30 CS lead for himself already as an all-in from Woolite in the bottom side. 1v1 between the AD carries.
Bean wins
They're
this.
just mashing right-click, but it's Bean that wins. He's already got a serrated Dirk, and it's a bit of a blunder from Woolite. Now into the mid lane. Sertuss in trouble, flashes away from the solar flare though. There's a double knock-up from Jactroll. Sertuss trying to find the kill. Oh,
they want to turn.
Can he finish this one off? The damage coming on through. Sertuss 1 HP. Dajor 2 for the heartbreaker through from Shlatan. And now looking for more as well. There's one for Jactroll, and Misfits are onto the board.
Yeah, Misfits, they counter the play there. It was Fnatic Rising that opted into that fight. And it's Fnatic Rising that lose it quite heavy-handedly. And now the mid lane tower under fire with that Herald. Could see almost 4 plates drop to this play. There's no one really here to defend, just MAXI. There's a teleport ward being highlighted here by Observer. Slicing Maelstrom, flash almost up for Pride as well. Dajor, when he becomes available, he's got it as well.
That's going to be the stun coming in. A spear lands, but MAXI can't quite close the gap. Pride's in trouble, taken down himself. Agresivoo still walking away. MAXI trying to finish the job. One more spear finishes that kill. Dajor now trying to save his jungler, but MAXI is gone from the world. And now a root onto Dajor as well. Shlatan re-engaged. Jactroll back in. It's utter chaos in the mid lane, but it looks like it's chaos that Misfits love.
Yeah, I think Misfits still the happier of the 2 teams here off the back of this exchange. They pick up all of the plates from the mid lane. And it looks like Shlatan as well, picking up all those kills on a champion like Viego. It's so powerful to try. Like we said, right, Misfits, they want to get the ball rolling. We're just, approaching that 15-minute mark, and they have a 2,000 gold lead. They've got 2 more minutes to try and build up that lead. As we get the replay here, it's Dajor that already, opts into this one. Jactroll comes to respond and saw Shadow. But then once we see Rhuckz start to hover around Dajor, it's them that opt for it. Plain and simple, the chain CC isn't quite there. Either, and it just means that Dajor has to opt to win. He's still got the spell flux on him, and instead of committing autos, he's dodging out on the overload. He's worried about dying to the overload, so he doesn't put any more autos in to Sertuss. This is why Sertuss doesn't die in that exchange. And it just means the play gets turned around once as well. The Jayce shows up.
And it's a rough situation there coming out for Dajor, but he has been... Oh, hang on. Bot side, there's another all-in, but the chain of corruption is beautiful from Bean. He manages to survive for the time being and actually wants to go for a little bit more. Jactroll has to use the Unbreakable Will. Rhuckz coming in, and Bean in a 2v1 has bought his team space to come and answer the play. And guess what? There's a little cheeky kill for you. He even gets a shutdown onto Jactroll. 4-0-1, 450 gold for the kill. And out to the mid lane. Misfits have to answer. They'll get a tier 1, but man, Bean is huge right now.
Yeah, Bean is massive. Like you said, 401, got the Duskblade already in his back pocket. And with that shutdown, he's going to be accelerated to that second item even faster. And of course, that's when the Varus truly comes online.
Yeah.
Definitely very scary for Misfits to think about. Again, the engage tools, not necessarily, there entirely for Misfits if Fnatic Rising keep their range with the Varus and with the Nidalee picks. Definitely something to be concerned about as the game goes on. But for now, Misfits still, in control of the gold lead, 2,000 in their favor. Does mean they should still be the first to many of these plays around the neutrals. Herald is spawning relatively soon. Dragon, it's another cloud, actually, Munch. So it's not going to be something as highly covered as, the Mountain or the Infernal, but still a lot of impact can be had, especially with all of these big team fight ultimates, or just utility ultimates in some cases as well, available to both sides.
Yeah, definitely not going to be the be-all and end-all of Drakes, but still going to be nice, especially for Misfits, right? Because ultimately, even though we've had a couple of plays that have gone the way of Fnatic Rising, I mean, look at the gold difference. Misfits are still massively ahead. They've still got a 2,000 gold lead as we break the 15-minute mark, and so much of that is on Shlatan right now. He has been exceptional across the course of not just this series, but the entire tournament. It feels like he's the man on this Viego that can really make things happen for Misfits.
Yep, absolutely. Shlatan almost has the most gold on this team. Agresivoo just barely edging him out by 100. As now Misfits, they want to start the Herald. Pride's been found out on this flank.
Uh-oh, Pride's in trouble here. Slicing Maelstrom will come on through, and Woolite's just gone. See you later, buddy. Now Solar Flare into the backline. Shlatan, 1 HP. He was the one we had to watch, and we've watched him go down. Jactroll trying to answer. Sertuss DPSing on the backline, but Dajor has found him. And Misfits, I said that they had the advantage. I was wrong. It's all Fnatic all day.
This is the kind of time where we've been saying, right? We've been alluding to it the whole time, and it happened in Game 1. It looks like it might even happen in Game 2, back to back. Fnatic Rising, post that 15, towards that 20-minute mark, they start to come online. They start to snap together more as a unit in these teamfight situations. And I think, crucially, Sertuss looks for a realm warp. I'm looking at Woolite. Is he trying to walk into it? No, he just gets left alone on the backline. Simple as that. Just gets blown up by the Kennen. Pride gets to walk out free. There's a lot of damage being returned by Sertuss in AoE. But look at Dajor. Removes Shlatan from the fight. Removes Agresivoo from the fight as well. Can't really aid much more. It's a done and dusted fight as soon as Woolite's dead. Nothing that Misfits can reasonably do in this kind of situation, just because of how fed and how strong this Irelia is in a situation like that.
And this is not going to get any easier for Woolite either, right? No. We're looking at this AD carry. He's had a rough time in the laning phase, opting into a 1v1 against Bean that he ended up losing. And now in these team fights, look at what he has to deal with. Like a Leona jumping on you, and Kennen, and Nidalee, and Irelia, and all of that. On top of a chain of corruption coming out from Bean, and just the arrows out from this lethality Varus, Woolite is going to have a really hard time for the rest of this game. Yeah,
exactly. And not just Woolite, but the rest of the team now. You think about how, a lot of these champions want to interact with the enemy champions. The only champion on Misfits Premier side that I would, honestly say is pretty comfortable is just about Jayce. That's it, because he can Shock Blast from so far away. He can match the range of all of these engage tools, and of course Bean's arrows and MAXI's poke as well. But other than that, Misfits, if they want to take fights, they're going to have to go into the firing line of this very fed Irelia, this very strong Kennen. Despite being 1-2-3, we saw how quickly he removed Woolite surgically from that fight. A lot to think about for Misfits when they're not in this comfortable 2, 3, 4,000 gold lead position.
Yeah, I mean, I think surgically is the correct word for what happened there, because just like made an incision, just annihilates him straight out, sew it up, job's done in 2 seconds flat. Best surgeon on this side of the hemisphere. It's going to be Drake coming down here in favor of Fnatic, and it feels like just everything right now in favor of Fnatic, aside from that gold lead, still slightly in favor of Misfits. And that's the crazy thing, because it felt similar in game number 1 as well, right? Where Fnatic, it felt like so many times across the game, had control despite being behind in gold.
Yeah, exactly, and same thing here. They're going to try and push the gold further into their lead. Jactroll has a really nice flank angle, and the arrow connects. They're waiting for Shlatan to show up. This is dangerous for Fnatic. I don't know if they know he's there. They know now!
Pride's going to TP in. Jactroll makes the engage happen, but they don't have the damage, and now Sertuss in trouble. They don't go all the way into the back line. Takes his own life for it, but Woolite flashes away, keeps himself alive. Pride now trying to follow up, trying to get some damage out. Rhuckz low on HP, backs away himself. His Bean looks for more. It's going to be a 2-for-1 in favor of Fnatic, but it was not as clean as they would have liked.
Maybe not as clean as they was like, but Dajor is playing like a mad possessed. He has Sertuss in his eyes, the only person he cares about removing from these fights. Back to back now, and he's 2 items before 20 minutes. He's got the Sterix and the Gore Drinker. He is so fed, dealt the most damage on this team, that team fight as well. But as we just highlighted, Agresivoo, the only person in my eyes in this team comp for now that is going to be very comfortable dishing out damage, dealt the most for Misfits Premier there, 2.1k. Sertuss didn't get to play the game, quite frankly, either in this situation.
I'm sorry, I was just watching Bean's inventory to see what he would buy. Just like, boom, 3 long swords. I just need more swords. Give me more swords right now. His arrows are going to be hitting like a stroke. I really want to see a replay of that fight if we have time. Obviously, Baron coming up. I don't know if we'll be able to. But man, like you say, they are just literally winning 1v5 pretty much. Just go straight to the backline. The rest of his team is like, bro, we're range champions. Like, what do you want from us?
Like, he just doesn't care at the moment. It's not really biting them in the backside either. Rhuckz, however, this face check might just bite Fnatic in the backside, but
he is damn tanky though. Rhuckz just cannot die, and Shlatan can't believe what just happened. Now a spear in. Woolite gets stunned up, has the cleanse though. Poor split-second cleanse from Woolite, keeps him alive. Sertuss trying to realm warp out of there. Will be able to do so once again. Dajor, he was toying with the idea. He is absolutely insane, and I love it.
I love it as well. MAXI? Okay, I thought he was going to look for Sertuss there.
Agresivoo, MAXI goes in, has the Sonias, now slicing Maelstrom. Jactroll knocks him into the tower, but in goes Bean, and Jactroll Jactroll alone. Pride has to use a Zhonya. Someone's got to tank this tower for him. MAXI gets out, but the volley from Woolite to answer. That's one for Misfits. Can they clean anyone else up? The tower should go down. Fnatic take another fight.
I mean, it's all coming up for Fnatic right now, despite Rhuckz face checking into towards effectively what? All of Misfits Premier right there. We're going to start with the bottom side replay. As requested, Jactroll has a really nice angle in here. He's not spotted until the very last second off the back of that blue one. I think it just catches him on the edge. But I mean, it's just not enough. There's not really a whole great amount of follow-up. But look at you, just immediately. Sertuss, you don't get to play the game. You are out, you're back to the death chamber. And on the front line for Fnatic Rising, Pride doing his job, zoning the rest of the team away. And it just all kind of falls apart for Misfits. There's no real, target for them to hit on immediately all the time. Yes, Dajor dives in, but if he is always trading 1-for-1, that's a trade he's happy to take. If it then means Bean gets to dish out all of this damage, if it means that Pride gets to find these massive ultimates, and again, another pick.
Shlatan locked up, there's the stun, but Heartbreaker keeps him safe with the unstoppable passive to that ultimate. But look, full control now for Fnatic when it comes to the Baron area. And once again, we have to return to the conversation of beyond the 20-minute mark. This is where Fnatic Rising come alive. They're already ahead. They didn't even need to wait for the 20-minute mark. They've already got an advantage. And look at Bean right now. 8-0-5 with 2.5 items already finished off. Bean, if you don't finish him early on in the fight, he will annihilate the whole squad.
Look, there is a little bit of, sense of pride for me seeing Fnatic Rising come to the semifinals and take it to Misfits Premier. The progression has been so insane. You talk about, how they were playing domestically inside of the NLC. There were so many shaky moments, especially against teams that realistically weren't going to make it, the full distance, make it to UM themselves. And now, they had Dajor come in. We already know the story, but seeing them take it to Misfits like this is a genuine joy. And seeing Dajor be unleashed in a game like this, bring out the Irelia into Sertuss's Ryze. I don't think there's many other ERL mid laners where I see a pick and I'm like, this is very, very scary. And then we have, a rookie across the board pull out such a highly mechanical champion like the Irelia and just match it toe-to-toe.
And you just have to, you kind of have to sit back for a second and think, what are they feeding Dajor? Where did they find this guy?
What did he eat for breakfast this morning?
Right? Like, where did he come from? He's just come out of nowhere into the ERL scene. And now in the semi-finals of EU Masters, he is popping off and annihilating Sertuss. Obviously, Irelia versus Ryze. You would anticipate that Irelia is going to win those all-ins. But still, phenomenal performance coming out from Dajor in his rookie EU Masters in the semi-finals. And we have to return to that conversation of who the favorite was coming in, because it was easily Misfits the favorite, and Fnatic proving that they cannot be trifled with. But Misfits want to prove me wrong on that one. Couple of ultimates used by Fnatic just to disengage.
Yeah, Vanguard's Edge gonna go down there, but the Realm Warp was also used in kind, and MAXI will pick up this dragon. It's gonna put them on away from Soul. It's only a cloud, but at the end of the day, having those ultimates more readily available between Pride, between Bean and Rhuckz, gives them a lot more agency.
Maybe cloud Jamada. Every cloud has a silver lining, and that's that they'll have Dragon Souls. So, still very nice with it.
Yes, of course.
For the side of Misfits, though, right? Yes. 2,000 gold down at this point. We got to start worrying, right?
Yes.
We talked about they do have scaling and things, but how does this change? How do you change the shape of this game for Misfits? Because it doesn't feel like they've been in control for a good while.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to wait for Sertuss's third item to come in. Once the Archangel Staff upgrade is there and ready for Sertuss, he's going to be dealing a significantly larger amount of damage than he currently is, if he's actually allowed to play the game, granted how Dajor's been playing anyway. And with Agresivoo, he's there. Look, Muramana upgrade there, Serelda's Grudge, plus the Eclipse. His damage is going to be insane if he finds Shock Blast consistently. It's going to be something for Fnatic to worry about, but Misfits will have to capitalize very quickly just because the amount of healing sustain that they have. And you can see Shock Blast lands. Immediately Misfits, they're just eyeing out. They're like toying with the idea, can we engage on this timer? This time around, the answer is no. The Eurozord does have teleport coming up in a few seconds, so he's gonna go spend his time in the bottom side now, because he can very easily 1v1 either the Ryze or the Jayce on this side lane at this moment in the game, and that's gonna give Fnatic Rising a lot of freedom to just move around this top side, take some liberties, because Dajor finds a flank. I mean, whoever he lands on top of off the back of a teleport is probably just gonna die.
And it feels like there's a lot of pressure on Agresivo's shoulders, right? Across the course of this game from this point on. You already mentioned he's on that 3-item mark. Those shock blasts do a massive damage. Look at the CS difference that he's got for himself. Almost 90 CS in his favor right now. He is monstrously huge in this game, but that means that he now needs to carry, because Woolite's still a long way away from doing significant damage, and actually could be in trouble in the mid lane as well. Agresivoo is there to protect his AD carry. Dajor, though, doesn't look like he'll find a way in. And it will be just Fnatic regaining control of Baron once more.
Yeah, but that is teleport blown from Fnatic Rising, and that is going to be a window where Misfits know that Dior's going to have to, quite frankly, just stick with the Fnatic Rising members. You can see, whilst Dior's there, they're just looking for the engage. Hex flash over the wall. It's not going to amount to anything though, but you can see the mentality shift immediately once the Irelia is with the rest of the team.
Yeah. I feel like Fnatic, do you feel like they need to commit to at least starting a Baron here to force Misfits to fight you, right? Because it's clear that they just want to fight. Maybe they just walk at Jactroll. That's an option too. And just go and hit him with the Q instead. But now the CC chain onto Dajor does manage to get his solo right into the backline with a slicing maelstrom. In goes Dajor.
Oh my God.
Looking for Agresivoo. We said he had to carry and he's already taken out. 3 down. Fnatic Rising find yet another fight.
Fnatic Rising lose nobody in this team fight somehow. And I mean, it's just, again, Dior, dives forward. He does get stunned up, and now speaking of stunned up, Shlatan!
Woolite's in trouble trying to escape, but Maxi's chasing down here, leap after leap, and Woolite, that's a lot of auto attacks, but none of them do damage! Taken out under the tower as Pride will fall to Shlatan. Hey, it's 1 in favor of Misfits. At least they get something. Maybe Rhuckz as well. Shlatan looks for a little bit more. I think
he's got
Jayce
it.
down. Heartbreakers there. That's a double kill for Shlatan. Is that enough to contest the Baron right here? Shlatan will be full HP. He's got no smite available. 3,000 on the Baron. MAXI does have the smite. Shlatan has to make the magic happen here onto Dajor, but the lifesteal is there. Baron down to 1,300. Shlatan in the middle of a run. Maxi 1 HP, but he lives. And Fnatic are the rising sun for the NLC.
How have Fnatic gotten away with this? Are they even going to lose anybody on the backside of it? Looks like the answer's going to be no. What the hell? That is absolutely insane. There is no universe where they should be able to do it, but apparently this is the one. I mean, the overstep towards that mid-tier 2, a little bit too much, right? They do overcommit. We'll go all the way back to the start of this fight. They find Jactroll, pops the Unbreakable Wall early because he knows he will eat so much damage. Look at the Shock Blast onto Venus, so much, but Dior gets chained up. He does eventually, of course, stop push, but look at the slicing Maelstrom and the follow-up from Dior and all of the HP and shielding he gets on the advance. He just can't go down, quite frankly. Fnatic Rising really, really tanky, but it's this return here, a little bit too much for me at least. You understand because, quite frankly, Woolite and Shlatan are overextending, but they just go a little bit too deep. Once you get these flashes forced out, realistically, you can just turn towards the Baron and there shouldn't be too much threat anymore. Maybe, sort of flashbacks to that game against the Luminar, I believe it was, where they tried to flip the Baron and they lost. Not willing to take Barons unless it's relatively safe. This time around, felt like this was the safer call, sending those members to the mid lane, having the rest on top of that Baron. And now this Dragon's up, actually. Right on time with the Baron buff spawn. Or time or other. And I mean,
again, it's down to Misfits to try and face check this one, right? But Fnatic have full control. Misfits
too much.
Nowhere near doing anything about this one. So, Dragon Soul now for Fnatic Rising. A Baron buff in their pockets as well. And now, in game number 2 of the semi-final, honestly, Jamada, they're on the cusp of finishing things off. 4,000 gold lead. They do have to seal the deal, though. No inhibs taken just yet. The next couple of minutes are going to be where Fnatic Rising prove their worth.
Yeah, exactly. The Misfits, Premier Champions, they're at their spikes now. You've got 3 items on Agresivoo. Sertuss has his 3 items as well. Woolite, as behind as he is, he does have the combination of the Wit's End and the Shield Bow. And of course, the Guinsoo's Rage Knife. Just to sort of transfer some of that more on-hit damage. But Fnatic Rising, they're just so strong. Dior has that Guardian Angel as well. Diving forward is going to be so easy for him, and Chains of Corruption land on to the support again.
Stunned up here, he's in a big amount of trouble. Solar Flare into the backline, but Jactroll's abandoned. His Dajor just 1v4s on the backside. Doesn't feel like there's much left in the tank here for the LFL champions, but Fnatic back away for now. They don't want to try and overforce here. They're playing it safe.
Yeah, they have to play it by the books. I think they still understand there is a level of respect that they are going to give to Misfits Premier.
Rightly so.
Rightly so. They are just going to transfer this pressure up towards the top side. A lot of almost blown, but they're already coming back up. They've got the Cloud Dragons in their back pocket. Chains of Corruption already there. Rhuckz is almost there. Pride still has the Slicing Maelstrom. Misfits Premier still down the numbers right now. If Fnatic want to, they could look for a dive, quite frankly. See if they want to. I don't think they're quite willing.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, at least for now, as Misfits back away from the play on, sorry, Fnatic back away from the play. And a lot of this down to Agresivoo, right? These shock blasts consistently landing onto Rhuckz, onto Dajor, doing a lot to try and deny the potential dives. And Shlatan is still chasing right here. How far are Misfits willing to go for this one? Because I'm not going to lie, I'm not sure they win this straight up 5v5.
Yeah, I mean, Fnatic Rising are already basically at their base. So maybe just expecting Fnatic Rising to sort of be taking a little more of a relaxed reset. Yeah, and try to catch them off guard in that manner. But again, we spoke about the respect. It's exactly what Fnatic Rising give them with that kind of reset. And now Fnatic Rising on the cusp. I think with the amount of pressure they have on the map, with that mid lane inhibitor, they can pick a side, right? Whether it's bot, whether it's top, even allow Dajor, if they want to just go and split top, or on the opposite side rather to where they pick. Watch group has 5, because quite frankly, I think they win 5v5. The options are kind of limitless in a position like this.
I mean, it's not surprising, right? Look at the scoreboard. 6,000 gold lead. Literally double the kills. And we've had more than a kill a minute across the course of this game as well. Fnatic in complete control. And we have to turn and talk about Misfits as well, because remember, this is a team with massive amounts of veterancy. I mean, just in that bot lane alone, you have years on years of experience between Jactroll and Woolite. If there is a veteran team, if there is a team with the mentality to be able to hold on, it's probably Misfits Premier.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm actually trying to think about it. Woolite and Jactroll might just have more experience between them than the entire Fnatic Rising
combined experience of over 200 years. Is that where we're going with this one? That's why Fnatic's batting at Valée. It all makes sense.
Exactly so. Fnatic Rising, we said, all they really have to do is pick a side at this point in time because they are so far ahead. And just like bot is going to be the option. All of these poke tools, they could just dive if they want to, and it's exactly what they're going to do. Dajor in the back line.
Dajor is not afraid of diving onto Shlatan. Once again, Shlatan about from knocked away by Jactroll. Damage coming out from Fnatic. They finally get the first kill, and they want a little bit more. But you know what? They'll settle for an inhib instead. But you know, with a pick onto Sertuss, I'm not sure Fnatic are going to stop anytime soon. Jamada, over to the mid lane.
Yeah, over to the mid lane. They've got this mid wave here. They've got a bottom wave stacked up with it as well. They're eyeing up the end. Honestly, they've got Chains of Corruption again. It's found this target.
It's beautiful onto Woolite. B finds his counterpart and takes him down. It's a beautiful little finish here for Fnatic Rising. Agresivoo in the back line trying to do something, but it does not matter because the NLC are in the semifinals again, and they have themselves 2 wins to 0 over Misfits Premier.
I am almost at a loss for words for what I'm seeing at the moment on our screens. Fnatic Rising at series point against Misfits Premier in a 2-0 fashion. If you ask anyone, any analyst, you know, on the desk or that's been here at the Amazon E Masters, they'll be telling you, like we've kind of alluded to, right? You know, 3-0 Misfits, 3-1 maybe at best for Fnatic Rising. But Fnatic Rising are taking the action to Misfits Premier, and Dajor especially is just, he's playing out of his mind.
This is mental. I actually cannot believe that we're witnessing this, and it feels a little bit like last split, right? Where we saw VTXL making it to the finals. They were the underdog every step. Fnatic perhaps repeating history. We'll see if they can continue rising right after the break.
Champions! Welcome back to the desk. Fnatic Rising does it again, and they will take us to match points as they take down Misfits Premier again in this series. I am not worried. You know what? At the beginning of the day, I said 3-0 prediction. I just misread the team, guys. That's all.
You got the prediction right.
Yeah.
You just, you were just a little bit confused. You're like, isn't it meant to be again an ADC versus LFL final? So yeah, I think the prediction was fine.
It's supposed to be a rematch, but yeah.
Script is too strong, you know. You just got to stick with it. We got to go with it. You know, got to avoid the LFL final. We got to get NLC up.
It's fine, guys.
It's fine. It's fine. The social media from Misfits tweeted it, but honestly, yeah. Being a French fan, I'm a bit worried because it seems like a team diff overall. Fnatic Rising looking amazing this series.
I don't know if it's just Fnatic Rising being that much better than they've showed so far, which it is definitely. Yeah. I feel like they're playing out of their damn minds at this point. But I'm not seeing the spark that we used to see from Misfits Premier in the LFL finals, in the group stage, in the quarterfinals. Where is it? It's missing. I'm missing the Shlatan ballsy plays. I'm missing Agresivoo running people down. I'm missing their bot lane.
Where's my bot lane? Where's my bot lane?
I'm missing the bot lane being there. They're not.
Yeah, it's a little bit messy. And I think, as he said, Trouble, it's a bit of both, right? Like, we're seeing the plays attempt to be made by Misfits Premier, right? They know coming off the team comp that, hey, we got pushed mid. Let's try and make this play bot side. Let's go for this dive around about the 5-minute mark. And they just completely get wiped. That could not have gone possibly worse for them if they tried. But, like, yes, there's an aspect of, hey, you know, Misfits Premier over pushing on that play rather than just saying, look, you're losing all this wave. That's fine. We'll take that gold lead there. But there's also a very good cause of Fnatic Rising reading this really, really well, right? They back off. You know, Bean is already outside of turret range, outside of any sort of danger. So the only target that they have is a Leona. And that's then when Fnatic Rising are able to answer that. So I think it's a lot. It's both Misfits Premier overextending, but Fnatic Rising reading what Misfits Premier want to do and reacting incredibly.
I felt like they tested the Nidalee in the first game because MAXI is an absolutely fantastic Nidalee player, and they went with a full poke composition. If that goes wrong slightly, the game is over. Now, this is a better iteration, in my opinion, because you have a backup plan. You have the Kennen that can reach the backline, stun people, do so much damage, dissuade situation. You've got Irelia. Dajor used so many of his ultimates to stop a situation from escalating, not necessarily to kill someone, but to zone people away. And then you see the rest of the composition rounds up so beautifully with Varus, being on Varus, doing so much damage, but also controlling the fights together with Rhuckz's Leona, and then MAXI was throwing the finishing blows.
That's the big one for me, is controlling these fights. I think Fnatic Rising have been playing these team fights far better than Misfits Premier have. We can see it on your screens there, right? Jactroll tries to go for the engage on towards the mid laner, not able to make anything happen because he's got no follow-up. And I also want to give a shout out to Fnatic Rising as well. These cross-map plays have been spectacular. One of my biggest gripes, and I actually said it to you behind the scenes, was, look, maybe we actually take a look at like a deep dive into the Rift Herald setup coming through from Fnatic Rising, because they just don't do it very well. This game, they end up dipping on the Rift Herald play. At 9 minutes, they're already taking 3 turret plates, but they are playing the map so incredibly well. This again is Misfits Rising playing spectacularly, far better from what we've seen from them before. And Misfits Premier, I'm really sorry, but Fnatic Rising, they're outperforming you every step here.
Yeah, I mean, don't be sorry. Everything is legit here, and especially the fact that the early game used to be Misfits Premier's playground. This is the moment they shine, and here they don't even exist. The mid jungle from Fnatic is just too strong.
Yeah, and I gotta kind of feel sorry for Agresivoo here, right? 2 games in a row now, he's done really well in his lane up and top side. He's got a little bit of help, but it hasn't made a single bit of difference. Every single time, it's just been a case of, well, the bot lane has gone completely astray from us. We're losing out on that mid lane matchup as well. And again, we're seeing Dajor step up here, right? Irelia coming out of absolutely nowhere, being able to bring that out against this Ryze. Again, Fnatic preparation is key to their success.
And I feel like one of the members of Fnatic Rising that we touched a little bit on at the start is Bean. I've seen this guy in the NLC do absolute wonders. I feel like the Varus in his hands, it's an absolute mistake coming in from Misfits Premier. They should either snatch it away and give it to Woolite, who is also a fantastic Varus player, or not allow Bean to have it in his hands. Because At some point this game, he even 2v1
Yeah.
the Misfits from your bot lane. We have seen Woolite 2v1 people on his own, and this time the tables, oh, how have they turned? He 1v1s him, he 2v1s them, and then he completely decimates him through team fights. I feel like Bean has stepped above and beyond in this specific series.
I don't know what kind of being this guy is, but it's definitely not human. This guy's been godly all series long. It has been absolutely insane. And I'm delighted to see him stepping up because, again, like one of the big things for me was kind of looking at how he tried to play around this bottom side. A hell of a lot of it's kind of like wave management, trying to set yourself up for success. Well, he, as you said, was 1v2ing, 1v1ing. This guy was impeccable in that bottom side.
Why is that?
Crazy, crazy good series.
Yeah.
Why is that? That's from one game.
That is ridiculous.
I literally asked our production, like, from one game or 2 games? They were like, from one game, he's just that good. And I think he is just that good.
He's really good, but also, I mean, let's talk adaptation for Game 3, because when you see in Game 1, Fnatic Rising, first rotation, Varus. On red side, second game, first rotation, Varus. On blue side, this pick needs to be banned on the side of Misfits Premier, I feel. Where do you see adaptations, and where is this series taking us? Are we going to a 3-0 or...?
I agree. I think the Varus needs to be completely taken off the table, either taken by Woolite or completely banned out. I don't think that Misfits Premier have showed an answer so far. Ashe is usually a lane neutralizer. They've tried that, it failed. Jhin usually pairs up pretty well versus the Varus in the later stages to come as well. They've tried that, it failed. I feel like something needs to happen and Bean needs to adapt to a different champion and then try to beat him on something else, because so far his Varus has seemed unbeatable.
I really want to see Misfits Premier slow it down as well. It feels like Game 1, we saw them trying to overforce plays very quickly. They get picked off, and now they're kind of fighting these 4 versus 5. We come into this game as well, they try to overextend onto that bot lane play, fall apart there as well. There was so much of this where it was just overextensions getting picked apart. Their team fighting isn't looking so hot. I think just take it slow, take a breather, and come into this resettled, and I think you'll do far better.
Quick words on expectations for draft Game 3 trouble. We know that Misfits chose blue side. They want to first pick something special, probably. What do you expect here?
I think it's going to be the Varus. I don't think the Varus is going to get banned out. I think Woolite is a fantastic, phenomenal Varus player. You can get so much priority, you can get so much control with that pick. And what's really interesting is that going from series to series to series, we always see that one champion that will always be a priority or a ban between teams. In this one, I think specifically, it has to be the Varus.
Let's see if it was the key champion of the series, because it is do or die for the LFL Summer Champions, as we're about to get eliminated by the NLC again. Let's see if they can turn it around in Game 3.